Let's hope that I mean, I'm saying this now, but I really do think that the 80s stuff will be quite different.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel for the third part of our big Doctor Who magazine 60 years poll results breakdown. So we've previously covered the results of the Hartnell and Straussen polls and the Pertwee and Tom Baker polls. Today we're going to be covering the results of the Davison and Colin Baker polls. That'll be interesting, won't it? So, obviously, as is the case of these videos, we placed some predictions before the magazine with the results in was published. You'll have seen some of our predictions at the start of this video and a little previously thing, I suppose. Because there was one bit in particular, wasn't there, that we were watching back just now, where you were like, oh yeah, I really think I
think the 80s could change quite a lot.
There we go. Yeah.
A naive little man.
Yeah.
It's strange because I really did think that the 80s has had a bit of a renaissance in terms of the Doctor Who kind of fandom.
Let's have a look what we've got.
Yeah.
So, like I say, obviously it's the 5th and 6th Doctor stories that have been polled this time. The polls are still open, I suppose, at the time of this video's release. It'll be Tennant and Smith, or maybe even the Capaldi and Westkill have reached the end nearly.
Yeah. Gosh.
So, 5th Doctor. So, lots of green equal signs, which basically means that the story has stayed exactly in the same position from the previous poll in 2014. We knew Caves and Androzani was going to be in top spots. I don't think either of us really disputed that idea in our predictions, really, did we, particularly? I mean,
No, I think we outlined the top three and we were like...
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, there's a potential for Earthshock to maybe get number one, but I really don't think that was ever going to happen. I'm not surprised that Cave's winning, and I'm not disappointed because it is a really good story.
Yeah, it is about it, I suppose. And the top three have been the same in every single iteration of this poll since '98. Yeah. So it's it doesn't come as any surprise there. So 4 and 5, we've got Kinder in 4th place. That's been in 4th place or 5th place every time.
Times, yeah.
Enlightenment has jumped up in the past, but it's stayed in 5th place now. It's been there all
funny,
along
isn't it?
since
You look at that and you're like, oh right, it did move, and then you realise, but it's not changed since 2009.
Yeah, it moved 20 years ago or something. It's like Resurrection, the Daleks, Visitation, Mordred Undead, Snake Dance, and Castrovalva. That's our top 10 there.
Do you agree with that top 10? Is there any below that you'd move up in there?
I mean, this is where it gets kind of funny, isn't it? Because, Frontios, no. Awakening, not really. Black Orchid, I think I said last time, I got a bit of a soft spot for that. I don't, but then would I have put it higher than any of those? I'm not sure. Planet Fire, similar story. I didn't mind that, but would I put it higher than, Resurrection of the Daleks or something? Probably not. Terminus, Arc of Infinity, Force Doomsday, King's Demons, Warriors of the Deep, Time Flight. Maybe not. Are there any that kind of jump out at you that would go higher, do you think?
In fairness to the
10?
General consensus, this makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But again, like you're sort of saying about personal preference, Force to Doomsday, I would have moved higher up, at least below the top 10. Terminus, I don't like as much as I used to, but I would still move that up as well. Other than that, though, and I'd move Visitation down, but I understand that's more my personal preference. Saying that now. Mordred Undead is something that I've recently been rewatching for no reason in particular, just all of the season 20 stuff. And Mordred Undead was one of the ones I was surprised at, because I remember not liking that when I was growing up and watching that program. Sorry. What am I talking about?
Serial,
that story.
Take your pick.
So, coming back to it and actually finding there to be some really nice ideas in there and really good stuff, I was like, I can see the love for that. I don't know if it's as good as Enlightenment, but I certainly think that it's one of Davison's best. I think it's a nice sort of
mishmash of elements, isn't it? Like with the Brigadier in there, with your country English school or whatever it is, and like obviously the spaceship,
like stuff,
which regeneration thing.
You forget how big a deal that is, because the Doctor's like, I'm gonna not be a Time Lord anymore, and it's this. Yeah. It's sort of like, wow, that's kind of like quite a big deal, and we forget about that. So, Mawdryn Undead, like I would maybe even move up into the top 5. It is actually really good. I think it's better than Kinder and Resurrection of the Daleks, personally.
Yeah, you see, I suppose for me, similarly, I mean, in that, in the top 10, is there anything I think should be lower, particularly? Like the snaky stories, I don't get on so well.
Snaky stories.
I've only seen them like once, so
I've seen Kinder a few times. I haven't seen Snake Dance a lot, so I need to rectify that.
So I personally might move that back down. Maybe move Enlightenment. I don't dislike Enlightenment, but maybe there are others that have a bit more variety, maybe like visually or whatever, or just a bit more going on beyond like what that one has. And then, like I said, last time Visitation, I can get on board with more than you. So, I mean, Castrovalva and stuff, So, maybe for me, just the Mara ones, maybe I wouldn't put so highly. Yeah. But then it's that thing that we've said, and we've said so many times, isn't it? Like, you can understand why they're there. Like, you can see, it makes sense, like you say. It makes sense. It's like, you open it up and it's like, yeah.
But, like, as we kept saying in these videos as well, there is a degree of people who maybe haven't seen these stories in a while, or not seen them at all, and just think they want to give them a rating, and just think, Caves of Rangrazani, 10 out of 10. Yeah, people always say it's 10 out of 10. I'm going to give it a 10. Time Flight. Apparently it's awful, so I'm going to give it a 2. You know what I mean? Like,
it's interesting you say that, because I probably won't go on to it in this video, but I've rewatched all of Series 1 recently, which we will talk about. Rewatching Series 2 at the moment, and there are some stories there where kind of, they've either gone up or down for me, based on, there are some that I was kind of thinking, I'm not particularly looking forward to rewatching that one, or don't have particularly fond memories, but then actually, watching it, it's better than you remember, and these things do change.
I think Series 2 is surprisingly... I don't quite know how it's happened, but I think people just go, oh yeah, it's one of the weaker ones, and then they just don't care to sort of dissect that and why. Because you look at it, and really, the only weak story in there is Fear Her. Every other story is a story that people go, yeah, it's fantastic. New Earth, maybe not so much, and maybe Love of Monsters is kind of that weird, it's renowned in fandom as just... Not bad anymore, but just it's renowned.
I mean, I still stand by. I did a tweet the day I said that Love of Monsters is the best one in the series.
It's great.
I stand by that completely.
I have to say, really we'll talk about this when we do our Tenet predictions. One, but I honestly do think that might be a changer. Who knows? But I think it could. Yeah. Anyway.
I was watching Fear Her yesterday. If I need to finish off, I was watching in 2 halves, and I don't see anything being lower than that. I think that will be bottom spot.
Fair enough.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, looking at that series, I know we're sidetracking from the Fifth Doctor here, but like, Tooth and Claw, School Reunion, the Cyberman 2-parter, Impossible Planet, Satan Pit. Oh, right, okay, Girls in the Fireplace. Really?
Well, wow. Stay tuned.
And I'm just trying to think of what else we got. Doomsday, Idiot's Land.
For me, it's sort of...
Oh, I love Idiot's Land.
Do you love it?
I think it's great. Yeah. But anyway, I just think that there's a really great...
Christmas Invasion, if you include that, is strong.
Christmas Invasion as well.
So fair enough.
But yes, I'm not angry about the placement. I just think it...
it gets better, doesn't it? Because we then turn to the Colin Baker poll results. Obviously, Collins Baker, Collins era is the shortest on screen up to this point.
I'm going to call him that, Collins Baker.
Collins Crocs. Collins Crocs. We've got 8 stories if you include Trial as 1, and they are all in exactly the same position that they were last time.
So you sent me
the time before.
As soon as this issue had come out, I hadn't got my magazine because it had arrived at home, and
I just sent you that.
And you sent me that picture of them all identical, and I was like,
I didn't tell you which stories they were. No. I was just like, it's identical. Yeah. So just prepare yourself.
Yeah.
So again, what do we make of this? Do we think it's fair, unfair? I mean, I think Revelation. I said last time that I was I'm happy to see that in the top spot, and it's there.
I think Revelation, in all fairness, is the best.
Yeah, the best
Baker
of the bunch.
Story.
Yeah.
think it's a real shame that Trial of a Time Lord isn't higher.
Do you?
I think why Doctor Who magazine still class it as one story is baffling, because what are they going to do when it comes to Flux?
Well, I was thinking this. They're going to do it.
They mention Flux as
they're going to do it
one
as one
thing, don't they?
Yeah, they're going to do it as one.
Yeah.
Or she's going to kind of scupper things up, really, isn't it?
It baffles me because we could have really had some nice... But I guess their thing is that they want to keep it consistent with the other polls, and I can see where they're coming from there. But yeah, it's just irritating. Mark of the Rani is too high. That's boring. Attack of the Cybermen should be higher, because I think
I agree with that. I'd like to see that.
Time Lash is the only one I haven't seen, so I can't comment. But Twin Dilemma, I think I was really shocked that people are still as down on it as they've always been.
I mean, I can certainly get behind that. But then as well, I mean, so personally, what do you put below it?
What do I put below it? Mark of the Rani. Yeah, I think it's dull as a Victorian urchin. I mean,
maybe on the right day, I might do that. I don't know.
Two Doctors, I'd probably put lower as well. Mike Collin is very different from that, I think.
Okay.
In all.
Would your top two be the same? Vengeance and Varus? You quite like that one?
I do.
You like it more than I do, maybe.
Yeah. I think it's like a proto Bad Wolf kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'd probably swap the two Doctors and Trial in terms of position. I'd maybe put Trial above Vengeance on Varus, actually.
Put it in second spot.
I'd put it in second spot, and sort of Revelation, Trial, Vengeance.
Yeah.
Two Doctors is alright, and then
Mm-hmm.
change things from there. The thing is, I just need to watch Colin again. I've been kind of saving it because I know that the box set has come out, and I'm going to be watching it at some point in about 2026, whenever the box set comes out. But it's just seeing that really made me think.
It just kind of sums it up, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah. It's just like, does fan opinion ever change?
Does it actually change? Does it really? Yeah.
Once you've got a kind of set kind of, you know, this is this is always going to be the best story. This is always going to be the worst story.
Exactly, and like even
do we never reevaluate things?
Even with like the Capaldi and Whittaker polls, which those episodes have never been polled before, even though we don't have any previous results to go off, you sort of already know kind of what they're going to be. Really, I mean, maybe there'll be some surprises in there, but it's just that thing of like these episodes go out and it's like, okay, maybe every once in a blue moon, like, you know, one of them goes higher, one of them goes lower in consensus, but like these things are pretty kind of stuck in their ways, really, aren't they?
It's a shame,
unfortunately,
because I really think so many stories could do with a reevaluation, and I think we have changed. I think the fandom has changed. There's new fans. There's older fans whose opinion has developed over time. You know.
Yes.
But this doesn't reflect that in the slightest.
Yeah. Like we've said before, like some of the more meme-worthy stories, you know, you might expect to see them higher because like newer generations.
I think newer generations will really affect the later stories, because I think for these ones, fair enough, a fan who's jumped on board with Jodie who isn't as interested in the classic stuff might be like, I'm not going to bother with that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, as I said, I didn't even vote in like the first few.
Because,
so what can I say? But when we get onto the new ones, obviously, you know, it's going to be different. So
I think today's going to be quite interesting because we finally get to start talking about the new series stuff. And I think it's going to become more and more interesting as we go on. So have you got some of them there? Do you want
to have the full list?
Do you want me to reveal what our top...
So let's think about
So we've got McCoy to quickly we'll skim over, because we did chat about McCoy last time, didn't we?
Yes, I was thinking about this. So the headline, I think, for us was that Remembrance will be top spot, obviously. I think we pretty much said that Time in the Rani would be Boston, maybe? Or
sorry, I thought you were going to say Time in the Rani would be second. No. I was like, goodness gracious me.
In terms of the general list, we're certainly something from season 24.
Well,
I think we're going to see down there.
I think it's essentially what we're going to get is number 1, Remembrance, number 2, Curse of Fenric, and number 3...
like season 26, apart from Battlefield.
Yep.
Then season 25, apart from Silver Nemesis, and then those two maybe, and season 24 at the bottom. You know, that's the general trajectory, I think, isn't it?
I think Survival got number 3 here.
Wow, okay.
I'm not sure that will stay as much as I like Survival, I don't think that will stay the same. I reckon...
Yeah, I wouldn't mind.
We might get
a bit lower than that.
Greatest Show or Ghostlight as number 3.
Really? Okay.
Well, Ghostlight came number 4, and then Greatest Show was number 5.
Number 4?
Yeah. So
this rings a bell now from last time. Yeah, that's wow. Okay.
I think Ghostlight should be number 1.
Number 1.
That's just me.
That will be really interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like that is one of those rare examples of a story that has kind of
developed over time, because it kind of went from a kind of nebulous story which people don't understand to now being this kind of concept piece of maybe this was what we would have got if it was in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly.
It won't. Remembrance is going to get number 1, and that's never going to change. That's never going to change. I disagree with it. I think Remembrance is great, but not the best. So my placement would be Ghostlight, Survival, Remembrance. No, sorry, Ghostlight, Greatest Show, Survival.
Greatest Show.
I think, personally.
Fair enough.
I know Battlefield would be up there for you, wouldn't it?
I think Battlefield, and stuff like Battlefield and Silver Nemesis have got a soft spot
really?
for. Yeah.
Okay. What about our season 24? So you think Time in the Rani is going to be the bottom?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see it higher. But
do you want me to check?
Slightly higher.
Double check what was the bottom?
Yeah. So I dropped that bombshell last time. That was my fondest Remember story from the season, perhaps.
Really?
But, that's what I said.
You're wrong. So Time in the Rani was bottom.
I mean,
what do you think was second to bottom from McCoy?
Well, I feel like last time, did we basically say that the order of the season is, so it goes Time in the Rani, then Paradise Towers, then Delta, and then Dragonfly. Is that right? Approximately.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Time in the Rani. Yeah.
So they get higher, slightly higher as they go up, but
I
don't
reckon
beat any of the later ones, do they?
I'm being so naive, because I've said this in the past. I was like, Time Flight will be much higher because there's that kind of meme status, or Destiny of the Dark's will be much higher because people have re-evaluated it. I was going to say, I really think that the season 24 stories will go up. But they're not going to change.
Yeah, because
it's going to be Time in the Rani
enough of a kind of tide change of high regarded stories suddenly kind of
going up
or going down. Sorry, like
sorry, yes,
yeah,
I mean,
it would have to flip around. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
and I don't think that anyone disregards like Silver Nemesis might go down, but I doubt it. I would like to see Paradise Towers not be second to bottom, because I do not think that it's that bad by any stretch. I think Paradise Towers is in my top 5 McCoys, personally.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's the best of season 24.
Well, it's this thing again, and we said this, I think, with the Pertwee poll in particular, like when you've got 30 stories or whatever, or how many stories you've got, and it's like, if personally you think they're all of quite a high
that is true, that is very true.
That thing of like with Pertwee, you were sort of saying that, like a lot of them, if not all of them, are kind of of a very high standard.
It's very hard,
but something has to be in
bottom. Something does. Yeah, and that's true.
Yeah, I just feel I think that, as you're saying as well, that like even if there's more of an affinity there, for you or I, or for certain series, season 24 or 25 stories, whatever, it just
I think
how about such a monumental shift, wouldn't there?
Let's do this
to get higher.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do this then. How about we pick the most likely mover, if that makes sense? Do you know what I mean? Like the most likely story to shift. You don't have to be like, this is going to be new number 1. It's just which, if any story is going to move, which do you think it will be? Because I'm going to say Paradise Towers. I think Paradise Towers will at least move up 1 space and swap with Dragonfire or Delta.
Yeah, I could see that happening, to be honest. I could see that. I mean, do you remember how stuff like Silver Nemesis or Happiness Patrol, Greatest Show, do we know where that was roughly?
Greatest Show was number 5, and I think Silver Nemesis
of the 80s
of the McCoy. Sorry.
Of the McCoy.
Yeah. And I think that Silver Nemesis was probably the lowest ranked of season 25 and 26 stuff. Do you know if you know what I mean?
I mean, Paradise Towers is a good call. You know what? Just double check. So in terms of the Davison ones that did move slightly, Morgan and Dad went up. Well, 1 place.
Exactly. They just swapped.
Arc of Infinity 1 place, and King's Demons 1 place. So Yeah,
I'm trying to see.
I think you're right about Paradise Towers, maybe.
I can't see Silver Nemesis here in this. Am I being absolutely blind? So Dragonfire, Silver Nemesis, yeah. There you go. Yeah. So Silver Nemesis was the lowest of that. I think that the chances of moving... Paradise Towers might be third from bottom instead of second to bottom, and I think Survival won't be third. I reckon Ghostlight will be third, and they'll swap.
Yeah.
You think?
I mean, yeah, maybe.
Maybe. What would you...
I think you're right about Paradise Towers, maybe, because, like we said, the chronology of that season was each one got slightly higher in the poll, didn't it? So it's possible that will shuffle around. Dragonfire, well, general consensus-wise, will still come out best of the season, I think. I think you're right that, maybe like Paradise Towers and Delta could switch around or something.
It's a shame because Dragonfire is so bog standard, whereas Paradise Towers and Delta and the Bannerman, they do something really different, and they're going to be the ones that just because they're renowned for being they're the worst.
And like with the spin-off stuff for Paradise, like comics and everything, you'd have thought it does have its fans, and you'd have thought that stuff might have an impact.
Yeah, and with season 24 coming out on Blu-ray, you'd think there'd be a reappraisal, but that's obviously not affected certain stories anyway. Season 22's not really changed, even though that came out most recently. So
should we turn our attention maybe to Mr. Christopher Eccleston?
Yeah, so
Doctor.
Eccleston time.
So
shall I tell you what do you think was number one?
I'm thinking it's got to be Dalek, isn't it? I suppose is it not in terms of the general?
No.
Was it really?
What do you think was number one in 2014?
I'd like to think Father's Day.
No.
Oh God, it's that too fast, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doctor Dancer's in the shop.
Absolutely.
This is where I drop another bombshell and say that story does nothing for me.
I knew you would.
Nothing for me.
Do you know what second place was?
Well, then you get Dalek, maybe.
No.
The finale?
Yes, and then in number 3,
Dalek.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. That's quite interesting.
So that's Eccleston. And Eccleston, it's just worth saying, of the 2000s, Eccleston dominated the top 5 with 3 of those.
Okay. Yeah.
So Enter Child was number 2, and then Bad Wolf Parting Away. I
forget how much people love that story.
So here's the thing, right? I reckon... I love Enter Child.
Yeah.
It's my favourite story. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I reckon that Bad Wolf Parting of the Ways will be a new number 1. Because people love Daleks, they love the finale feel, and I think given how hot we are on Davies at the minute, I reckon that will pitch up. Actually, or do you think Dalek might get it?
Well, so based on my rewatch, based on what my own list would be, I think I'd put together a list. I'm just going off memory. You can always check it if you need to. But Father's Day would definitely the strongest for me. Or the one that I got the most out of from this particular rewatch. Right. I think. Sure, you can say, it's not as heavy on monsters or whatever. You can sort of see it, maybe in some areas people might not kind of think of it, or it might not tick all those boxes necessarily. But I just think in terms of the script and just the execution of it,
that was the 4th best
masterpiece.
Eccleston.
Yeah.
So it went.
I think that
Bad Wolf, Dalek.
I think that could maybe get a bit higher. But then, what do I know? I mean,
no, it's fair enough to say. It's fair enough to say it.
I think because Dalek is another one where, on my most recent rewatch, I'm not saying it's a bad story, but I just feel like it's been talked about so much over the years.
Yeah.
And so hyped.
Yeah.
I've had novelisation. There's been just so much oversaturation, and people. It's one of those stories where people say it's a masterpiece and kind of go by go through it and every scene and stuff and say this scene's brilliant. This is and it's all kind of It's one of those ones that people really analyse, and it's I'm not saying it's a bad story, but I just for me at this particular moment, watching it recently, it's I didn't really get anything new from it, particularly.
Dalek.
Yeah.
I agree.
Do you? That's interesting.
Because I think it's because I watched it so much because it was when you have a DVD and it's the only one that you kind of watch, and I loved Dalek and I watched it on a loop, but to the point where now I'm it's fine.
Yeah.
But I do agree. I think that because of just the splash that made and how culturally significant it is, I think that could really pip it.
I think it'll definitely be up there, but yeah, like personally for me, yeah, I'm not so sure. I just feel like it's one of those ones that, like you say, it had that cultural significance or stuff, but like, I don't know, is maybe it's kind of hard to know. Like, obviously, it did have that splash at the time, but I just feel like it's been so, like, retrospectively, people have kind of built it up so much.
Yes, no,
more than probably what it actually.
But hence why I think that, whilst we don't agree, I think that because it's been so talked about, that might be a reason why it gets number one.
I suppose it could go either way. I mean, I realistically, I don't see it going down. In the general list, I don't think
it is another case of like the Pertwee stuff. How if everything's so strong, how do you?
That was number 3 in the previous one. Was that
Dalek,
right?
yeah. Dalek was number 3. Father's Day number 4. Yeah. And the bottom ranked story that I can make out from this huge bloody list.
Oh, it's not Boomtown, is it? Please say it's not Boomtown.
Long game.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which I would say I would agree with.
Yeah.
But that's not to say it's bad because it's such a strong season.
The only one really when I was rewatching the season. Well, maybe had a little bit with End of the World as well.
I know what you mean about End of the World. It's quite slow.
Yeah, I just think that there wasn't as much kind of sparkle or whatever. Like not that particularly. End of the World, like fair enough, it's doing what it needs to do at that point in the series, I suppose. But yeah, as a kind of like standalone thing, maybe not so much. And yeah, you're right, it's a bit slow. It's a bit one of those ones where they kind of like go.
It's more the spectacle of like, oh my god, here's the Earth, and
yeah, it's like more of a kind of I don't know, like a little. It's more like a mood or a vibe or a sort of than an actual kind of plot or story necessarily. Just more about like kind of the vibe, I think.
So we'd place Long Game probably is going to be bottom again. That's not going to change.
No, I hope not.
And give me your top 3 and then give me your predicted top 3.
I just want to double check because
have you written them down?
I put it down when I rewatched.
Interesting.
I try to remember how outrageous I was with this.
Do you think you were giving some hot takes? No.
I think I was. God, where was it? Series 2 ranking, Series 1 ranking. Oh, okay, yeah. So I did Father's Day 1, the finale 2, Boomtown 3.
I don't disagree. I think Boomtown's really
I then put the Slovene two-parter in 4th place.
You're mad.
Yeah.
I know. I think it's great. But I wouldn't put it above.
Nah. That's fair. I mean, that's another story in terms of changing opinions about the Series 2 stories I was talking about. It's one that I really kind of went back to, and I think for various. I mean, I would say from the off, I think the first half is the stronger half. The second half, it does kind of lose a little bit. You know, kind of it is one of those ones of the story. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant for the whole series.
World War 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aliens in London, I just think in terms of like how to do a sort of alien Earth invasion story.
It's really well done.
There's the one moment I would say a little bit strange, like logistically you can see why they did it, but like that moment where they go out into the street and they're like, oh, should we just go back and watch it on TV? Like, I get like it's a nice little gag about a nice little commentary thing, but it's like, they're kind of just looking for a way to like
get back.
Yeah, exactly. And like the Doctor and Rose up and stuff and have him go off.
Yeah.
But I got a lot from that, and having visited a lot of the locations as well recently, having just been to London more and just
survived your visit to the Powell estate. Have a lot of vests on.
Oh boy, yeah. All that stuff and just the not to kind of like sound like pretentious or like the stories and pretentious about the story or anything as well, but I think kind of just obviously that kind of shot of like the spaceship kind of like going to be banned is iconic and stuff, and it, just for me, like retrospectively looking back, like, obviously not something you pick up on as a child, but like the kind of, I don't know, that sound insensitive here, like there's kind of allusions to like something like 9/11 there. You know, it's kind of it does kind of have that kind of like, you know, looking back, that resonance, I think, which kind of just makes it kind of stand out a bit for me.
True.
True. But yeah, so that was my 3 or 4. What was your?
So mine off the top of my head. Put it this way: for the Empty Child, the Doctor Dances, I would be happy to see it top the polls because I do remember it as being so good. But I want to rewatch it because I feel like my opinion might have changed, and that's absolutely fine. So I'm going to actually say that my favourite is Bad Wolf Party in the Ways, because I watched at least some of Bad Wolf the other day with some of the family as well, and we were loving it. It's just so well done. So it would be Bad Wolf, Empty Child, and then I would put, personally, for me, The Unquiet Dead, and then Boomtown very close.
Yeah.
Boomtown is so much better than people give it credit for.
It's great.
And I know that it's going to get second to last in this poll.
Yeah, it's such a
because
shame,
people won't think it any higher than anything else.
Again, not to get ahead of ourselves, but like we were saying earlier in the video about Series 2, Love and Monsters, like, for me, like, the standouts, well, okay, I've said Father's Day from this series, but to that aside, and the finale aside, like, the standout from Series 1, Boomtown, standout from, like,
it's so in terms of, well done.
Yeah, and Love and Monsters from Series 2, like, in terms of, I don't know, they're just stories that you can go back to, and there's layers to uncover each time, and there's just so much to them, in terms of what they're doing with, like, the format of the show as well, in terms of being unconventional, in terms of, like, focusing on scenarios or characters that wouldn't necessarily get that sort of limelight.
You know what, you've swayed me. I think it's better than Unquiet Dead. I think Unquiet Dead is just a very good, very, very strong Doctor Who story, but I think Boomtown is so much of what Davies...
It's instilled.
It's instilled.
And again, that for Love and Monster, and when we come on to that, I feel that so strongly.
Bad Wolf, Boomtown, Empty Child. I need to watch Empty Child again and just affirm that. But it's so good. I know that's not going to reflect it at all. I think
such a vibe.
my personal, like, what I think is going to be the top three. I'm going to say, I reckon Empty Child has a very good chance of being knocked off the top spot by Bad Wolf Parting of the Ways.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be Bad Wolf, Empty Child, and Dalek. I think that is pretty much going to be as it is. There might be some wiggle room, but that's what I'm going to say. New number one.
I mean, now you say it, I guess so, yeah.
Did they do an Eccleston World Cup?
I don't think they did. It would have been a very obvious thing to do, but I don't think they did.
I think, I'm going to settle on that. I think Bad Wolf has really risen in popularity, so I'm going to go for that as I reckon that's.
That's something I could get behind. You know, seeing that in top spot, just as an all round story, and but I don't know. We'll see what happens with Dalek. I kind of feel that, like, generally speaking, there will still be the hype there surrounding it, but who knows? But basically, I mean, I think we've basically got that sussed. I mean, like, as I was saying, like, a bombshell for me, Empty Child, Doctor Dancers, I just don't really get it beyond, like, the gas mask thing.
Okay, interesting.
There's no point going into too much into that now.
But I will rewatch it, because it's been one of those things. You know when you like, you love it so much that you're almost like, I don't want to watch it again and then realise that it's not as good as I've made it out to be.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I think if I was to kind of pin down for me what it is, I think it's another one that feels a bit slow, like in the scenes like with Jack and Rose. I mean, obviously the whole John Barrowman thing slightly muddies it anyway. But then even then, I just I don't know, like, and it's a recurring thing with another story we'll talk about next time. But, like, the kind of early Moffat-y thing of, like, sexualizing the Doctor. Okay, yes, I can see, like, what kind of impact that's had since, but, like, actually going back to the material, I'm just not utterly sold on it.
Yeah,
potentially. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I see.
I think that's it, maybe. Yeah. Oh yeah, like the second half is basically just like a load of, well, innuendo, isn't it? Essentially,
the Doctor dances is literally just
So I don't know. Does that work for you? Maybe not. But yeah, that I think we sort of we've got that fairly spot on.
Fairly down.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting next time. To me, it's going to be a monster one to talk about the predictions for the Tennant and Smith.
Yeah.
Polls.
God, we're going to be here for ages talking about that.
I did vote in that the other day. I think I did do, because it's it'll be closed by the time this comes out. Yeah. But do vote in the Capaldi and Whittaker ones, which will be linked below.
And that's going to be brand new.
That's going to be brand new. So that'll be very interesting. As we've said already in the video, maybe to some extent we know what to expect there, but it will still be nice to see. Like, especially if they count Flux as one story, which they will do. That's going to just completely, that's going to be.
Do you think so?
I think they will do, based on what they've said in that.
Yeah, they did. They did say they were like, "Oh, well, it's going to be interesting seeing what happens to Flux." Yeah,
that's just so stupid.
It's ridiculous.
Anyway, let us know your thoughts on the 5th and 6th Doctor story. It kind of feels like quite a while ago that we were talking about those. But yeah, that's how we started off this video. That's the main event of this video, and your predictions for Sylvester McCoy and Christopher Eccleston down in the comments below. Paul McGann, of course. It is omitted from the whole thing.
Did you get to rank? Did you get to give it a rating though? As far as I'm aware, they did still have a slot for the movie to put like whatever out of 10.
I feel like we've talked about this before, but I can't remember what we said.
I'm so annoyed at the way they're doing this. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Well, we've got that to look forward to, I suppose, haven't we?
You say look forward to.
Well, the top 3 is going up against each other in the autumn sometime. Anyway, yeah. Thoughts below. Stay tuned for further instalments and further collabs. We hope to digest the next round. Pretty soon after it's been published.
It won't be long till it's out.
Yeah, just a few days. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.
Bye. Lovely. Fantastic. Is it literally out this week? Is that on
Thursday? Yeah.
Oh, exciting. Yeah, Doomsday, the complete guide.
Yeah.
God help us all.